Today, we're revealing some hidden gems, secrets, and lesser-known facts about Walt Disney World's flagship park. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, April 21st, and you're listening to episode 32, Magic Kingdom Hidden Gems and Secrets. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. Disney Parks blog shared the first look at the Smellephants on Parade, the most recent addition to Storybook Circus at Magic Kingdom. This is a new interactive experience that Disney calls a search and sniff. Yes, we'll be able to pick up... Sorry.
That's going to be funny watching everybody going around
100%.
sniffing and searching.
So guests will be able to pick up their map and sticker sheet from a cast member at Big Top Souvenirs. The task will be to find the 8 Smellephant statues around Storybook Circus, all themed to theme park favorite snacks. The first of these statues is already up near the Dumbo attraction and features a Smellephant themed to popcorn. More fragrant Smellephants will start to appear in the land in the coming weeks, and Disney hinted at 2 other scents, churro and cotton candy. The Disneyland Forward project cleared a major and one of their last hurdles on Monday, April 15th. The Anaheim Planning Commission approved the new development, which could see Disney investing a minimum of $1.9 billion over the next 10 years. The zoning would permit Disney to develop a new theme park, new lands, resorts, merchandise locations, restaurants, and parking to grow and expand on the existing Disneyland resort. Nothing official has been announced into what exactly will be developed, but Disney previously shared concepts of possible expansions for the future of the original resort, such as Peter Pan, Frozen, Zootopia, among others. Very, very exciting changes, potential changes coming to California.
Yeah, that'll be great.
On Tuesday, April 16th, My Disney was launched. After this date, when you log into any of the Disney services like your My Disney Experience account, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Disney Plus, or any other Disney-related account, you'll be prompted to create a new password to unify all of these services, and from here, you'll be able to manage all of your accounts. It's not unlike what was happening already, but now it has a name and a unified place to access everything. Disney made another subtle but welcome change to the My Disney Experience app. You can now see dining wait times for table service restaurants and lounges across property. Previously, you had to seek out each location individually to see this information, but now it's much easier. From your main screen, you'll toggle to your map and select the park or resort you'd like to dine at. At the top, you'll filter the dining category, and then you'll be able to see the posted wait times for the various restaurants at that location. From this screen, you'll be able to join the walk-up wait list if you're close enough to the restaurant to do that. A very welcome change. These are little quality of life updates that make the app much more user-friendly. I shared a reel on our socials this week showing exactly what that looks like in app, so check that out if you want to see what that looks like in practice. Disney announced that Disneyland Paris' second park will be renamed to Disney Adventure World, which will correspond to the World of Frozen expansion that will open in this park. This reimagining will be large-scale and will feature many new areas such as Frozen, Tangled, Adventure Bay, which will essentially be a hub to the new areas and feature a large stage for shows and performances. Disney Village is also receiving a transformation to completely refresh the space. Exciting things happening over in France. We'd love to visit this park at some point, and now there is more reason than ever.
Yes, we'll definitely get there one day for sure.
One day for sure. With that said, in today's episode, we'll be covering some hidden gems and secrets at Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World. We thought it would be fun to cover some of the lesser-known facts about the flagship park in Florida. There's a lot of things about Magic Kingdom that are common knowledge, and even people who have never visited and have no intention to ever visit the parks might know, like that it was the first of the 4 parks to open, and it closely matches Disneyland and Anaheim. Today, however, we'll be touching on some less obvious facts and some fun secrets throughout the park that most guests are unaware of and may not otherwise notice. If you're a Disney Parks fan, you may know some of these already, and if not, see if you can spot some of these on your next trip or flex your Disney knowledge to your friends and family.
Yeah, so having said that, let's get right into it. So Magic Kingdom is actually the smallest park in surface area. You might think, what? How is that even possible? And that's a very normal reaction, and we also didn't believe it initially. It is completely counterintuitive and contrary to what most people think because it has the most attractions of any other parks, and when you're walking from Big Thunder Mountain Railroad to Tron, or the main entrance to Gaston's Tavern, it certainly feels like it's a really large park, and by all means it is. It's just not as big as the others when it comes to acres of land. The largest park by far is actually Animal Kingdom, and that sits at 580 acres, which doesn't seem like it when you're in the park itself and you're walking around, although it is large. It just doesn't feel that large. But the areas that accommodate the animals are massive, and much of that area is backstage, so to speak, and not experienced by guests during your typical park day, so it's kind of hard to see all that.
Yeah, agreed.
Second largest is Epcot at 305 acres, and that's obviously thanks to the World Showcase and the Lagoon. When you're walking around that World Showcase from the International Gateway to the front entrance, you can certainly feel that the park is massive.
Yeah, 100%.
It takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, that's a trek.
And of course, third largest is Hollywood Studios at 135 acres. And that's thanks to the expansions of Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, because like you might say that, no, Hollywood Studios is for sure the smallest park. And that was true for the longest time. But with the new expansions, it's actually surpassed Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, honestly, this park, Hollywood Studios, feels like the smallest of all the parks, but we just think that's because the lands are very secluded there.
Yeah, agreed. Yep.
Yeah, so the park doesn't flow as well as the others. It's not bad necessarily, it's just different.
Yep, agreed.
And of course, the smallest is Magic Kingdom, and that comes in at 107 acres. So this could change in the future as Magic Kingdom gets an expansion beyond Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. So time will tell if Magic Kingdom will end up leapfrogging over Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, 100%. Like, again, at some point, Hollywood Studios was the smallest park.
Yep.
They got expansions. Now they're bigger. So with the things coming into the parks over the next decade, yeah, it could very well
It's only fitting
change
that
again.
they could get bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This next one may not be counterintuitive and makes sense when you think about it, but it's the most visited park out of the four. By far, it's not even close. Okay, so Magic Kingdom's attendance in recent years has been around 17 million per year. That's actually the most out of all the theme parks in the US. The closest is Disneyland at around 16 million. The next closest in Disney World is Epcot at around 11 million. That's actually a huge gap between Magic Kingdom and Epcot when you think about it.
Yeah.
And this is obviously due to the fact that Magic Kingdom is the flagship park in Orlando. And Orlando is much more of a tourist destination, right, than the West Coast. Like Disneyland is much more of a locals park. It definitely hauls in many tourists, just not as much, right? It's more significant in Orlando than it is
absolutely.
in California.
Like you said, California is the local spot.
Yeah.
Locals like to just go there for the day kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%. Magic Kingdom is also the park most likely to be repeated. So meaning if you're staying for several days, Magic Kingdom is a park likely to be visited twice or more. It's never not busy at Magic Kingdom. Okay, so some days aren't as busy, but it's consistently busy, right? It's just a scale of busyness, I guess you could say.
Absolutely.
If you've ever been to the parks at truly busy times like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, the height of spring break, you can feel how busy it is. The fact is, most days, Magic Kingdom is nowhere near its max capacity. It can and does hold a lot more guests during the busiest times.
Which is so crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of guests that can actually hold is
100%.
insane.
Absolutely.
Next up, anyone who's visited the parks or who has been eyeing a trip to Walt Disney World for any length of time, you've probably already noticed that ticket prices are always getting more expensive. I know we've noticed that.
Yep, 100%.
That's one thing you can always bank on is that Disney increases their prices consistently, and your next trip will most likely be more expensive than your last trip. But did you know that when Walt Disney World first opened its doors to the public on October 1st, 1971, over 50 years ago, the price of an admissions ticket was $3.50?
Yep.
That's insane to me.
Yep.
By today's standards, like I said, that just seems so crazy. You can't even buy a water bottle in the park for that price nowadays.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Even adjusted for inflation, ticket prices are much steeper now than they've ever been, and they don't show any signs of slowing down. This is a source of frustration for many guests, us included. Absolutely. When it's time to buy the tickets, we're bummed that we have to spend that kind of money. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you can't fault Disney for that. They are a business, and business needs to make money and be profitable. And if guests nationwide and beyond continue to visit Walt Disney World and continue to pay the ever-increasing prices, this trend will continue. That's just the way it goes.
Yep, agreed 100%. Like Lucy said, it's a business and they're in the business of making money, and people will continue to go. People will pay these prices as long as the demand is there. They will continue that. It is what it is. Next up, if you've ever visited Magic Kingdom and walked down Main Street in some of the other lands, experienced some of the attractions, you've likely been exposed to all sorts of interesting scents. And no, I'm not talking about guests who should have used deodorant but didn't, although you likely experienced that as well.
Yes.
But Disney actually uses technology they've named smellitizers, which diffuses different scents in the different areas of the park. You may pick up some sweet smells walking down Main Street, drawing you into the confectionery. You'll smell salty air and gunpowder in Pirates of the Caribbean, musky smells in the old buildings in Haunted Mansion, among many others. This is just one of the ways that Imagineers immerse you in the magic of the parks. Of course, they touch on all senses, right? So not just sense, that's music, right? You'll hear soundtracks in the different lands that are themed to where you find yourself, among others.
Now that you know this tidbit, you won't be able to walk around without smelling all those smells.
Yeah, 100%. And like you'll smell them on the attraction, distinct smells,
Pirates
right?
Of the Caribbean, I can smell it very specifically right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Next, have you ever noticed that when you're in Fantasyland, you can't see Tomorrowland and vice versa, or that you can't see Adventureland from Frontierland until you are much closer? If not, try to spot the other lands from the land you're currently in next time that you're in Magic Kingdom. And if you had noticed that before, that is not by accident. Imagineers work very hard and put in a lot of thought when they design and build the lands. And they make every effort to place the buildings, foliage such as trees, attractions in such a way that you can't see the other lands of the parks from the land that you are currently in. Imagineers work hard to achieve that, and the purpose of this is so that you can feel completely immersed in the space that you're in, from the sounds, smells, surroundings. Everything is by design, and it makes you feel like it's all real. And in a lot of ways, it is real enough to enjoy thoroughly and let go of all outside worries just for a little while you're in there.
Yeah, 100%, right? You feel immersed in the land. And like the perfect example, and this is not at Magic Kingdom, but it applies all across the parks. In Galaxy's Edge, like everything is designed in such a way that you feel like you're there. If there was ever like exactly,
in the movie, yeah.
If there was ever like a place in the world where you feel like you're immersed in it, that is it, right? They do such a good job.
And then just a few steps away, all of a sudden you're in Toy Story Land and you feel like you're one of Andy's toys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On a similar note, the immersion is no joke in Magic Kingdom, so Walt didn't want guests seeing non-themed characters and cast members in a land they didn't belong. He also wanted a sleek way to keep trash and other utility items out of sight. Enter the Utilidors. So Disney designed a tunnel system that runs underneath Magic Kingdom where cast members can filter through their respective lands without ever being seen in a land they don't belong. So the space also has break areas, restrooms, changing rooms, among other uses such as utilities and functional items like trash collection. The system is extensive and clearly marked to allow everyone to get to where they need to go. Another fun fact is because the water table was so high, Disney wasn't actually able to dig underground, so Magic Kingdom was built up and it actually sits above ground level. You can't tell just by looking at it, but again, if you're paying attention, you go uphill to get to the front gates and everything is built up. Flawless execution from Disney's part. Again, such an elegant way to keep that magic intact.
Absolutely. Sometimes I think I want to go down into the tunnels to experience it, but I don't know if I actually do and then ruin the magic of it all.
100%. So one of the things that you can do at Magic Kingdom is called the Keys to the Kingdom tour.
Yes, that's right.
And during that tour, they'll take you through part of the Utilidors and other things. So that is 100% a bucket list for us.
It is, yeah.
We have not done it yet, and
we will one day, I think, for sure. Just because we love everything Disney, we want to see it all.
Yeah, 100%. And like the next time, I think that it's just Lucy and I. We have the kids here on this upcoming trip, but the next time it's just you and I, we'll just do it.
Yeah, I think so.
We
That's
do
a good plan. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, have you ever noticed that Magic Kingdom, and by extension the other Disney parks, are very clean, considering the amount of people that frequent the parks on a day-to-day basis? So going way back to when Disneyland was just a concept, Walt was very vocal that his park was not going to be like any other parks. It wouldn't be dirty or unsavory in any way. It would be clean, well-kept, and at a high level of attention to detail in every meaning of the word. This is achievable in part by a wonderful team of cast members that are constantly picking up any trash, emptying trash cans consistently. And on that note, trash cans are 30 feet apart, so you're never left looking for a trash can. Yep. It's so true. You're never without one.
Yep.
There's always one not too far. And it's said that Walt said that if you picked up a hot dog, that it was from the distance that you traveled as you ate it, that you'd be left looking for a garbage. And that's how far apart he wanted those trash cans. The trash collection system is a vacuum system named AVAX, which stands for Automated Vacuum Assisted Collection System, and it all gets sent to a collection hub that guests will never have to see, smell, or anything. For the most part, and for the vast majority of the time, the parks are immaculate and so well kept. It is definitely one of the things we notice when we first go into the parks. The cast members that are wearing the white uniforms, they do such an amazing job. You never see a bathroom dirty. You never see trash on the floor. It's so impressive.
Yeah, 100%. And like, the trash cans are not your typical trash cans, right? It's not like an
opened
with like a garbage bag, right? They're like themed to the land. So like the color scheme, the paint that's on it, it looks like it belongs where it is. And it does.
Yeah,
like
the can itself is clean enough to eat off.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that's a thing you'll see on social media. And we've done it 100%. We've done it, especially at Epcot. Like you put a tray or even just wipe down the napkin and just park there and eat on top of it.
We did that every time.
At the Canada Pavilion when we ate that beef there and the potatoes. Anyways.
Works every time.
Yeah, it worked. And just another thing, a quick note is that like people typically don't litter in a Disney park. And I think part of the reason for that is that, well, hopefully everyone is a good person and they don't litter. But even those people that maybe would litter don't, because the parks are clean. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a pile of garbage, you're not going to hesitate to throw something on the ground. But if you're in a place that's just completely clean and immaculate, you're not going to throw anything on the ground, right? Even if you were, you're not going to.
And there's so many people around, I feel like people would judge you if you're the one that throws the trash on the ground.
Exactly, right? It's the peer pressure of like, hey, don't throw your stuff on the ground. Pick that up.
People would see you,
There's a trash can right over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Another fun fact that you may not know about is that the majority of the American flags in Magic Kingdom are fake. And it's not a disrespectful thing in any way on Disney's part. It's for a good reason. And here it is. The main flag just beyond the front gates of the park is authentic, right? So flying a true American flag has rules and standards that must be adhered to. For example, under certain circumstances, they need to be lowered to half-mast. It's also raised and lowered every day. And there's a flag retreat ceremony held every day as well, which is definitely worth checking out. As for the others in the park, they're not real American flags. So something about them is off, right? So they either don't have the right amount of stripes or stars or something that makes them not authentic. This allows Disney to display many, many flags up and down Main Street, USA, and then they don't have to lower, raise, or bring them to half-mast. They are fixed to where they're located. They have them on top of the buildings lining Main Street. The logistics of moving these like every day would be significant.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why Disney opts for this approach.
Yeah, it was a good call on their part for sure. Another thing that you may not have noticed when you're walking up Main Street, or maybe you have, but you weren't sure of its significance, is that the windows on the building along Main Street have names next to it, whatever the window is advertising or telling you. These names are not random or made up. They are actually names of significant figures in the Walt Disney Company throughout the years. You're going to see names from the Disney family themselves, executives, Imagineers, artists, animators, among many, many others. That's not specific to Magic Kingdom either. You're actually going to see this in Disneyland along Main Street, USA, and Disneyland Paris. This is one of our favorite lesser-known facts. We love the nod to the notable figures throughout Disney history. There has been so many creative and talented people that have contributed to Disney's legacy, and it's nice that it's continued to this day.
Yeah, 100%. Some of the names, if you know a little bit of Disney's history, you'll recognize, right? Like Marty Sklar, among others, Tony Baxter,
Sherman Brothers.
Yeah, exactly. Like significant artists and Imagineers over the years. And then some are a little bit more obscure that you might not know about, right? Like Card Walker, you may not know that, was a previous CEO.
It's just a nice nod to them.
Exactly, 100%. Another fun fact about Main Street is that it's designed in such a way that it invites you in when you're walking up Main Street in the morning, right? When you're first entering the park, and it says goodbye when you're leaving. So Main Street is designed to appear longer when you're arriving and walking towards the castle. On top of that, you're also going slightly uphill. You'll also notice that on your right, which is the side that guests typically walk on when they're walking in, that's where the confectionery and the Main Street Bakery is located, where you may stop for a snack, a coffee, a breakfast treat, or something similar. When you're leaving the park, walking back towards the entrance, Main Street appears shorter and you're going slightly downhill. And there are many more stores and shops on the right side of Main Street where you may stop to do some shopping as you're leaving the parks and can take your souvenirs with you. If you've listened to the podcast for a while, we suggest saving your shopping for the end of the day so that you don't have to lug your purchases around with you throughout the day. The caveat here, of course, is that limited time items that may not be there when you come back for, right? Purchase those when you find them.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Disney also uses forced perspective on the buildings along Main Street to make them appear larger than they are. So the higher floors of the buildings are slightly smaller, which gives the illusion that they're further away and higher up than they actually are.
Truly like Imagineering, top-notch Imagineering. They're
100%.
So good with this stuff.
Agreed. And on that note, at the end of Main Street is Cinderella Castle. Okay, so obviously super impressive, jaw-dropping. You can see it from the Seven Seas Lagoon in the distance when you first enter the park, and round the corner on Main Street and glimpse it in all its glory. It's just really impressive. Okay, so the first time we ever walked through the gates of Magic Kingdom, I got emotional. Okay, so and even to this day, it still gives me chills. Not only is it beautiful and masterfully executed, okay, but it has some chops when it comes to the Imagineering effort it took to build. All right, so it sits at 189 feet tall. That's more than 100 feet taller than Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland. And just like Main Street, the castle was designed and constructed using forced perspective, which makes it look even taller than it is. This is achieved by making some stones, doors, windows, and other elements smaller closer to the top of the castle. This gives it the illusion that these elements are further away and make the whole structure appear larger. In terms of materials, it was built with a steel-braced frame and reinforced concrete walls. Fiberglass and reinforced fibers make up the exterior. The castle, like the other buildings on property, is capable of handling hurricane force force winds due to the high risk of these weather events in the Orlando area. She's beautiful and she's strong, okay? And she's able to stand the test of time. Cinderella Castle will sometimes receive special treatments. For example, most recently for the 50th anniversary celebration, some gold accents like ribbons, banners, and a big medallion emblazoned with a large 50 graced the castle for, it was like 18 months or a little bit.
Yeah, it was there for a while.
Yeah.
She is a beauty, that is for sure.
100%, yep.
Another fun fact about the castle is that there's actually a 650 square foot suite inside that you can actually stay in. It sleeps up to 6 people and it's seriously luxurious with plenty of Disney touches. I mean, it's the inside of the castle, for crying out loud. You can't get much more Disney than that.
Yeah, agreed.
It's regal and luxurious. And if you're curious, you can see photos of it online. Now, this is extremely exclusive and it can't be booked like other rooms on property. Historically, people who have been able to stay here are the people that have want to stay or they've been invited to stay there.
Yeah, exactly.
The rich and famous. No.
Yeah.
How awesome would it be to spend a night in that room? What an experience it would be. It's fun to dream that we could one day do that.
Yeah.
While you're not likely to ever spend a night there, if you do want to go up into the castle and spend some time, you can always book Cinderella's Royal Table, which is a character dining experience and is extremely popular. It's not cheap, however, in our opinion, but it's worth doing at least once, especially if you have littles.
Yep.
We had a phenomenal experience there with our kids there last year. We were seated right by the windows overlooking Main Street, and we had such a good time. And we're actually going to go there again on our upcoming trip in a couple of weeks.
Yep, 100%. What
actually,
is it? Today's Sunday, so in 2 weeks.
In a couple of hours from now, 2 weeks from now, we'll be dining there.
Yeah, it's 3:37 on the East Coast, so yeah. In about 2 weeks' time, we're going to be almost there.
Eating with the princesses.
Yep. Next up, let's talk concrete.
Woohoo.
Not a very exciting subject, you might say. Well, get a load of this. Have you ever noticed the red concrete up Main Street, USA? During their construction, Disney partnered with Kodak to find a color of concrete that would absorb light and prevent guests from getting too much glare from the ground. Also, they wanted a color that would pop and look really good in photos. And we have to agree that they got the result they were looking for. The sidewalk does what it was intended to do. Don't believe me? Check out the millions of phenomenal photos of Main Street and the castle, okay? But that's not all Disney has done with the concrete ground in the park, okay? So Disney uses concrete creatively to immerse guests even further. You'll notice the concrete is different colors in the different areas of the park. So Frontierland is that reddish color to signify the ground in the Wild West, and it's gray to fit the futuristic theme of Tomorrowland, which fits nicely over there. There are other elements in the concrete like gears and wheels in Tomorrowland and a rosary in Fantasyland. You'll see footprints, hoof prints, broken jewels and pottery around magic carpets of Aladdin in Adventureland, peanut shells near Dumbo the Flying Elephant in Storybook Circus. Over in the queue for Haunted Mansion, there's the caretaker's footprints, but much smaller and easily missed. There's a ring hidden in the concrete that supposedly belongs to the bride who tossed it from the window, okay?
So cool.
So that's in the standby queue, and it's located near the captain's crypt, close to the fence. If you're facing it, it's to the right, okay? See if you can spot it next time you're riding Haunted Mansion. Another fun fact about the concrete, over in Liberty Square, you'll notice a large brownish section that kind of flows throughout the land. What's that about? Well, in true Disney fashion, Disney went full in with the detail, and it's because back in colonial times, indoor plumbing was not a thing. Back then, there were literal rivers of sewage flowing in the streets, so kind of gross, but achieved in a much more elegant fashion by Disney, okay? It's a symbolic nod to that era. Less symbolic in an actual fact, because indoor plumbing wasn't a thing, you won't find restrooms in Liberty Square. All of the restrooms are technically located outside of the land boundaries, so Disney stayed true to the theme of the land in that sense. I don't know if that's a win, but you can't fault them for trying. That's a lot about concrete, but what can we say? Disney puts a lot of detail into the ground.
They really do. I bet you next time you're there, you're going to be looking down a lot more often to try and find all those hidden little gems.
Yeah, 100%. And like, if you guys like this content, we'll make other episodes about the other parks, but like, that's not just Magic Kingdom, right? Like, so for example, over in Galaxy's Edge, you'll see R2-D2's tracks in the concrete.
They are really good with the little hidden gems. Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
Still in Liberty Square, you're going to notice a large, peculiar looking tree that stands out amongst all the others. This tree was located about 8 miles away and was moved to its current location. The tree is about 140 years old, and when it was moved, the root ball was 16 feet by 18 feet, and the whole thing weighed 38 tons. Steel dowel pins were driven through the tree so that it could be lifted by a large crane and planted where it currently sits. The holes were filled with hardwood, and the tree survived and thrived, and you can see it for yourself next time you're in the park. You'll see other touches as well, like the 13 lanterns hanging from the tree, which represents the 13 original colonies of the United States. The tree is now the logo of Disney's horticulture theme.
Yeah, 100%. They were so pleased with the results of that they made it their logo. Yeah. Over in the Hall of Presidents, you'll spot an area cordoned off on the carpet. Okay, so there's a couple of important misconceptions surrounding the seal that's located there. First off, most will tell you that it's the presidential seal, but it's actually the Great Seal of the United States, and that's what it says. You can read it right on there, which looks very similar. It's also said that it required an act of Congress to be placed here, and it's only in very few and select places in the US. But it isn't clear if this was actually required or if it ever took place. Several articles have been written about that piece of it, and the consensus is that there's no consensus. Okay, so we don't know whether that took any special or extraordinary measures to pull off. Either way, the mystery is kind of exciting. Okay, it's fun to imagine that it did when you walk by it when visiting the attraction.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up, over in Fantasyland, behind the castle and just in front of Prince Charming's Regal Carousel, you're going to spot the Sword in the Stone. Many people don't know that this is here, or they just walk right by it, which actually was us the first couple of times.
Yep.
I think we walked right by it.
Yep.
The sword is Excalibur, and only someone worthy with honor would be able to pull the sword from the stone, as legend goes. You can grab the hilt and try and pull the sword out, and you're going to see lots of guests trying to do this, and it does make for a really good photo in the park, regardless of what happens. But a lesser known fact, because it doesn't happen very often, is that cast members can actually release the sword, and sometimes a very lucky guest will be able to pull the sword from the stone and become the ruler of England. How awesome would that be to be that person that gets to pull it?
100%.
That is a Disney wish list thing for sure. We would love to have that happen to us or one of our kids, but odds are probably against us. It's still fun to try, though, and it's a good photo.
Yeah, 100%. We've talked about this on the podcast before, and it's something you may or may not be aware of depending on if you've been close to the front of the touch points at Road Drop, but cast members will select a family of the day from the families near the front. When they select a family, they'll be invited into the park first, allowed to stroll around and take photos in an empty park. You'll receive family of the day buttons, and you'll welcome all the guests to the park for the day. Cast members will then escort you to the area of the park you'd like to head to first. You won't be escorted onto the ride itself, but it's still a great gesture and a super fun way to start the day. This isn't just in Magic Kingdom. We were actually very fortunate and we were selected as family of the day over at Epcot during our last trip with the kids. Caleb and Sophia were so thrilled and welcomed everyone to the park, and it was a really magical Disney moment.
A perfect way to start our day at Epcot.
We got some phenomenal photos of the topiaries at the front of the park. It was during Flower and Garden.
The cast members took photos of all four of us. We got some really good shots.
We got to welcome everyone into the park. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Epcot.
Yeah, that was so much fun. The kids got a kick out of that.
Yeah, 100%. And our buttons are now in a scrapbook, and we have those memories forever.
Because you get the buttons that say family of the day.
Yeah, exactly. The kids still talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And again, this is just one of the things that set Disney apart and what keeps us coming back time and time again.
Completely agree with that. Another fun fact about Magic Kingdom, though it's not specific to Magic Kingdom, and you'll find these in other parks and resorts at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and international locations, but these are hidden Mickeys.
Yep.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially, these are the shape of Mickey Mouse's head, and the circle representing the head and two smaller circles representing the ears, probably one of the most recognizable shapes in the world. Yep. Everybody knows the Mickey shape.
Yep, 100%.
You'll find this shape hidden in all different ways and all different sizes all over the park, but one of the lesser known and kind of unbelievable hidden Mickeys at Magic Kingdom is worth mentioning here. This hidden Mickey is so elusive that it can only be spotted one time a year, and it's a specific time of year too. Over in the queue for Journey of the Little Mermaid, as you get near the rocky ceiling where the queue enters the building, the rocks above are shaped in such a way that they form a hidden Mickey on the ground when the sun shines through it. The caveat being that it needs to be a very sunny day. You won't see it when it's overcast. So not only do you need to be there on the right day at the right time, which is usually around noon, but you need the weather to cooperate as well. So talk about timing.
Yeah, 100%.
And not all the hidden Mickeys are this finicky, though, and most can be spotted much easier and on any given day at any given time. It's fun to find these on your own or research them and see how many you can find while you're out there.
Yep, 100%. The one in Journey to the Little Mermaid. So in case you're wondering, it's November 18th, right? That's the day that you can see it. And it's Mickey Mouse's birthday, just FYI. And if you're not sure where it is, there's always a gaggle of people, right? You'll see these on social media, and
if you're there on November 18th, follow the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a crowd around.
All of a sudden, the wait time at Journey for Little Mermaid is very high.
Or the queue is clogged, because everyone's trying to get a photo of it, right? But again, it needs to be sunny. It needs to be on a specific day. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to see it. But like Lucy said, there's tons of hidden Mickeys all over the parks, resorts,
if you're staying
everywhere.
On resort, in your room alone, there's going to be a ton.
Yep.
In the paintings,
in the carpets,
100%. The bed sheets, all that stuff. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And lastly, the Kiss Goodnight. If you're wondering what that is, you're not the only one, okay? So the Kiss Goodnight features the castle coming to life with twinkling projections, and the music of When You Wish Upon a Star starts to get louder. It usually happens around 30 minutes after Magic Kingdom closes, and it will happen sporadically, okay? So most nights it won't happen at all. There's a short narration at the end, and the whole thing lasts about 2 minutes. It's a wonderful way to cap off a beautiful day in Magic Kingdom, and unless you visit the parks often and are usually staying very late, this is something that you'll really only experience as a one-off. So it's more special because of that, in my opinion. You'll never know like if and when you'll be able to experience it. We've never experienced it, unfortunately, but we really want to, and we're trying. If we're ever lucky enough to be there when it happens, I'll be sure to capture the moment and tell you guys all about it. The only caveat is that, like, obviously when we're there, the kids, we're never going to be there that late. It has to be when it's just you and me.
Yeah, or when they're older.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is not a complete list of the hidden Easter eggs and secrets of the parks. There are many, many others, and the attractions also have a bunch of hidden secrets as well. I think we'll have to do another episode on this.
100%.
It's fun to stop and notice some of these finer details because there's so much thought and effort that goes into designing and building the Disney parks. We love the Imagineers. We love seeing their stories, hearing all about it. We just love it.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in the hustle and bustle, and we totally get that, especially when it's your first time in the parks. Okay? It can be overwhelming for sure, and you may not notice some of these more subtle elements. On your next trip, though, see if you can spot some of these while you're venturing around the parks. It's a fun and free way to add another layer to your day in the parks.
Absolutely. Have your kids try and find as many hidden Mickeys as they can. It's a good way, especially if they're kind of, getting a little bored, getting a little tired.
Restless.
Hey, let's play a game.
Yeah, 100%. With that said, thanks so much for joining us today to talk Magic Kingdom hidden gems and secrets. Okay, so we thought this would be a fun episode to share some of the lesser known facts with you guys. Let us know if you like this. Okay, send us a message on our socials. Let us know if you'd like to hear more episodes with this type of content. And on that note, if you haven't already, find us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Go to Disney and our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney.
Also, we would love if you could subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It would be greatly appreciated. This helps us widen our reach more, and that's why we started this podcast, to help people have a great Disney vacation.
Absolutely. Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.